Music has the magical ability to penetrate the deepest, most impenetrable and convoluted parts of the world, and with it carrying the DNA of cultures that otherwise we wouldn't have ever known. And thanks to it, people through centuries have learned to bond over rhythmic patterns, melodies, and words, sometimes sharing their most guarded secrets because they have learned to communicate in this very special language. Today, on this episode, I want to talk to you about the music from the place I was born, the Dominican Republic, and how it is changing the world. Boom! Boom! Cześć ludzie! What's up, people? Hola, VIGO'S here. Welcome to another episode. Someone wrote in the comments on YouTube saying that this boom, cześć, whatever was nonsensical or something like that. Should I stop doing my boom, cześć intro? I don't think so. I like it very much. In the 90s, because I'm a kid of the 90s. I was born in the 80s, but let's face it, I grew up and I discovered music and bands in the 90s. And back in that decade, whenever you thought about what an international recognized genre of music was, what comes to mind? Pop music, rock music, especially alternative music in those times. Classical music has always been, I think for the most part, pretty international. But something incredible happened at the end of the century and into the 2000s is that artists such as Ricky Martin, Shakira, Jennifer Lopez, they put Latino music on the map. With its rhythms and suave words, it seems as if the world became addicted to Latino music. Hey, and I'm happy for that. But I gotta say that we have come a long way, and today, in the year 2022, you have some of the biggest names in the music industry collaborating with Latin artists. Now, let's zoom in a little bit, because like I said before, we're gonna tailor this episode to Dominican music. Because you see, many of these ridiculously famous Latin artists, such as J Balvin, Bad Bunny, Maluma, Ozuna, they have been incredibly influenced by Dominican music. The music of the Dominican Republic has been primarily influenced by the drum patterns of West Africa, European melodies, of course, and Taino dances and rhythmic patterns. This combination of influences gave birth to two music genres that were both born and forged in the center of the Dominican Republic. And of course, we're talking about merengue and bachata. Both of them 100% Dominican, and they have already been exported all over the world. Now, there is a newer music genre that, let's say, the younger generation have embraced, and it's also becoming huge all over the world, and I'll of course cover it later on this video. It's called música urbana, or urban music. Before we go into the genres itself, I think we should cover a little bit of the history of Dominican music. The history of Dominican music begins naturally with the independence from Spain and later from Haiti. In 1821 came the independence from Spain, but in 1822 Haiti took over the Spanish part of the island until 1844, which is when the Dominican Republic regained its full independence. Merengue appeared for the first time only a decade later, at around 1854. At least that's what the history books show. In the beginning, it was played only with tambora, guira, and any string instrument that appeared, for example, a guitar or a tres o cuatro. Now remember that I just said that African music played a very big role, right? So before we get to merengue and bachata, we have to talk about a music genre that is very important because of the rhythm. We're talking about something called palo, as in stick, or also known as atabales. It's played all throughout the island and is usually tied to religious ceremonies and heavily played during saints' days. Its roots are in the Congo region in Central West Africa, but it is mixed with European influences in the melodies. Palos are related to Dominican folk Catholicism, which includes pantheon of the deities and saints. For example, much like those found in the Afro-American syncretic religious traditions of Cuba, Brazil, Haiti, Puerto Rico, the most important thing about palo is the influence that it has had over the rhythm of Dominican music and the genre of merengue. Now, let's talk about merengue. Merengue is a music genre that, up until recent years, was the most famous Dominican music genre in the world. Where now I think bachata is really taking over, but still, when you think about Dominican Republic or you ask any Dominican about their music, they're gonna say merengue. There are two main instruments that need to be present in a merengue band for it to be considered merengue. And we're talking about the tambora, which is a wooden drum that has two heads made of leather skin, and we have the guira. The guira is like an aluminum cylinder that has perforations, and you have this thing called raqueta, and you just hit it and goes. Exactly. Insert clip. And the infamous Dominican dictator Rafael Leonidas Trujillo helped merengue become a national symbol in the island, because previous to him seizing the presidency in 1930, merengue was seen as low-class music played by people that did not belong to the elite. Trujillo was of humble origins, and he had been barred from elite social clubs. And he was therefore resentful of these elite sophisticates and began promoting the merengue, forcing all social classes to participate in the low-class dance. Merengue music had a golden age, if you will. Back in the 70s and the 80s, big exponents of the genre such as Johnny Ventura took the music out to the world, especially around Latin America. Then of course we have very famous musicians, composers, artists such as Juan Luis Guerra, who is a graduate from Berklee's College of Music, took on the genre and literally exploded everywhere in the world, in Europe. And I remember going to concerts of Juan Luis Guerra that literally had full stadiums. Bachata is the second most famous genre from the Dominican Republic. It was born in the 1960s as a rural interpretation of the international bolero. It is played by two guitars, a guira, and bongos, who are usually pitched really high up. Bachata is a style of music that is very sentimental. The lyrics are incredibly sobby. They are almost always expressing pain, heartache caused by love that left you, or how you are in this turmoil in your life. I should say that it's incredible how bachata has taken over, especially internationally in Dominican Republic, because I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s, and bachata was not a style of music that people really wanted to be associated with. Kind of like what was happening with merengue back in the Trujillo days. We have seen a literal resurgence and explosion of bachata and popularity with groups such as Aventura. You guys remember Aventura? Son las 5 en la mañana y yo no he perdido nada, pensando en tu belleza y en loco voy a parar. Aventura took bachata to another level for sure. They exposed the music to a younger generation. And their lead singer, Romeo Santos, who has gone to develop an extremely successful solo artist career, collaborating with really heavy hitters such as Usher, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Drake, Mark Anthony, Carlos Santana, has for sure played a humongous role in this wonderful genre from Dominican Republic being exposed to larger and larger audiences. These days in Europe you find hundreds and hundreds of bachata school. People want to learn to dance. You know what? I'm gonna give you a minor lesson on how to dance bachata. Bachata rhythm is very simple. You have to think in your mind that you're counting 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. You go 1, 2, 3, and. As you can see, I say and not 4 because it's not a whole step. So I'm not doing 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just literally using the and to raise my hip. 1, 2, 3, and. You can also just stand right here and do 1, 2, 3, and. Very simple. If you like bachata, just search online for bachata lessons near you. I can guarantee you're gonna find something. As a matter of fact, my in-laws learned to dance bachata for my wedding. I mentioned Romeo Santos and Aventura, but not only Dominicans, we have other Latinos and Spanish speakers such as Rosalia, the big artist who has recently collaborated with The Weeknd on a song that my wife loves. She's just playing this on repeat all the time. I'm like, come on, give me a break. Now you remember that at the beginning of the video I said that there was another genre of music in the Dominican Republic that is just taking over with the young generation. We're talking about música urbana.
Dominicano soy.
A genre kind of like born out of a marriage between reggaeton, the very infamous Puerto Rican style of music, and other genres of music like trap, like dembow. So it has its own thing, but it's a grimy style of music. It's very raw, it's very crass. The lyrics, a lot of people in the Dominican Republic don't like it because they say that these young artists are promoting things that they should not be promoted, but let's face it, they probably were saying the same thing in the 80s with heavy metal, and they're gonna keep saying it. But at the end of the day, it's undeniable that this style of music is the younger generation evolve. All our generations have a style or a couple of styles of music that literally speak to us. They run through our veins, and we leave a mark through this type of cultural expositions, if you will. There are many urban music artists in the Dominican Republic doing really, really well, but I'll mention a couple such as Tokischa. Tokischa is a pretty controversial artist. She's recently collaborated with Marshmello. The big, artist wears a marshmallow hat. I think that Tokischa recently signed a distribution deal with Rock Nation, that's JC's label. So it's actually, getting pretty big, the girl, huh? There's also other artists that are huge, like for example, El Alfa. I think Alpha has like more than 16 million monthly listeners on Spotify and hundreds of millions of views on his videos on YouTube. But it is what it is. Música urbana in Dominican Republic is one of those styles of music that if you're gonna talk about Dominican music in the year 2022, you have to mention it, whether you like it or not. Boom! That's all, guys. That's the end of the episode. I hope you liked it. I was very excited when it comes to recording this episode because as a musician myself, a Dominican, a proud dancer of bachata, merengue, I could not wait to expose a little bit of our culture in the form of music to you guys, my audience who is predominantly European. I'll try to put links in the description to some of these artists that I would mention so you can discover them on your own. You know what? If you are in Poland, let's get together and let's go dancing, all of us. And we can all go and have some bachata and merengue lessons. Are you guys up for that? Let me know in the comments below. Guys, see you next week. Muchas gracias y a bailar música!